You're looking at some run lines to kick off today's action. And what have you found that you think might be profitable today?
All right. So last year, we can at least look at some trends from last year and maybe get a little window into what teams possibly perform, whether it be home, away, against common league opponents, non-league opponents. Run away for a lot of people will resonate from the musical anecdote. But what we are referring to are some teams that were outstanding or very far from it when they were trying to cover it. Let's start with the ones that were really good. So last year, Dave, the Marlins in non-league games, meaning when the Marlins played American League teams, they were the best. 20 games over 500 in covering run lines, 34-14. Guess what? They're 0-4 overall this year when they're trying to cover a run line period. So take that for what it's worth. The Blue Jays last year, one of the best when you lay the 1.5, 36-19. They are playing the Rockies, who absolutely pasted them last night. Might be a great bounce back spot for Toronto today. White Sox really good too. You're kind of getting a trend here. Some teams that may not have been the best in the White Sox and now the Rays. White Sox were 28-20 last year. Rays 27-21. Both of those teams are on the road. Let me bring to light, Dave, the Colorado Rockies are a perfect 4-0 covering the run line so far this year. And they've only had, those 4 games. And obviously they got their first one yesterday. So take that for what it's worth. They've been really solid at being able to do that. Does that continue today? We shall see, but just some early trends through the first 3 to 4 games of some teams that are really good so far on the run line.
Oh, I love what you did there. Because again, if you look at the Rockies, and I was watching closely against the Fighting Fish this weekend with a big ticket on Miami's over total. The Rockies are 1-3, but perfect denotation. 4-0, as you mentioned, on the run line. Lost all those games by 1 run in Miami. And by the way, the Marlins 0-4 to that end, as you pointed out. They are minus $1.56 today with Jensen junk in the bump against Eric Fetty. The White Sox, if you want to take them on the run line today, to break that hex, if you will, get to 1-4, it's plus money, plus $1.35. You mentioned the Blue Jays against the Rockies there. If you want to take Max Scherzer and lay that 1.5, he's the starting pitcher. You still have to lay $1.26 for Toronto against Colorado today. How about the regular season wins market? I love this market. I have not bet it yet because I took your advice and said, let's wait. Let's not run before we walk here. Let's see how these teams get off on the good foot. I am a little bit surprised at the early success here for the Blue Jays. 15-1. Short numbers there to have the most regular season wins. Tigers way down there at 45-1. I wonder if they're already starting to see holes in the rotation past your superstars at the top.
Well, what's unique is that you can still get better prices on teams that maybe have gotten off to a little bit of a slower start. You mentioned Detroit. They're 2-2 after they fall last night with Justin Verlander back on the mound in a Tiger uniform and what feels like since I played. Oh, yep, that's the case. But at 45-1, that's kind of a nice value for a club that you could probably put it together here. And if they do, well, you're going to want to have some shares of that in pocket. The Orioles stood out to me as well. Also 2-2 in looking at that early schedule. Remember, we have both the Orioles and the Cubs 20-1 and 40-1 in pocket for the most wins by the end of April. Let me lean you towards the Mariners here at 17-1. Seattle in a great series against the Guardians. They end up going 2-2. They get the early series opening win against the Yankees in walk-off fashion last night. And so at 3-2, might not be bad to jump in on the Mariners at 17-1. Again, just early indicators, looking at some numbers, Dave, that make sense off of teams and maybe for more of a value price right now versus what they could be in maybe 3 to 4 weeks' time.
I don't want to say that our guy Larry Meir back in Vegas today is a little bit downtrodden, but you could hear in his voice to begin our show this morning, very upset about that Dodger first loss. Rich people problems. They're still minus $1.65. Buck up, Dodger fans. They're $1.65 betting favorite, odds on to have the most wins in the regular season. Very quickly, that's not a bet you'd make. Demarcation line there, Jensen, is after that, it's 12-1 for the Yankees. You go from minus $1.65 for the most wins to 12-1 for the Yankees. I mean, that's kind of ridiculous.
Well, yeah, and it's also a reason why one of my favorite season win totals was, the Dodgers under 102.5. It's about motivation, and they don't care about winning the most regular season games. They care about winning the most postseason games. That's what they did last year. So again, you're looking at teams that would have a viable path through. So already just some great value on some of those teams at some more advantageous numbers.
Brewers, by the way, had the best regular season last year. Right now, they're 25-1 to pull that trick 2 years in a row. We love these cross-sport parlays. I love the way you put these together out there. They're normally they're geographically fun to do for some pizza money plays. Jensen, what have you concocted today?
It's exactly where we went. So we've got our Final Four for men's basketball. And when I was putting these together, I'm thinking to myself, Dave, these are some really juicy parlays. Okay, so Michigan to cut down the nets, geographically parlayed with their neighbors in the Detroit Tigers to win the World Series. 61-1? So just food for thought. Okay, when you're looking at the World Series prices right now, the Tigers are currently 22-1. So Michigan cuts down the nets. You now have the Detroit Tigers at 61-1 to win the World Series. A very, very cool price to have for a team that many believe will have a great shot to go deep into October, at least on the American League side. Similarly, with Illinois, we just talked about, to win the men's tournament, and the Chicago Cubs to win the World Series. So should Illinois cut down the nets? The Cubs, as of today, on DraftKings are 19-1. So you're going to get that at 99-1. If Illinois wins the men's basketball tournament, and then the Cubs would be a 99-1 ticket to win the World Series. Gets even better. How about your Huskies? UConn to cut down the nets, the Boston Red Sox to win the World Series. That ticket, 109-1. The Red Sox are 16-1 standalone to win the World Series. And then finally, this is kind of the lottery ticket. I don't know if it's getting home, but the first leg, if you get Arizona to win the national championship, mentioned to you early in the show, the Diamondbacks rotation, I think, has some legs to it. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win it all. Right now, the Diamondbacks are 70-1 to win the World Series. But can I interest you in a 197-1 shot if the Wildcats of Arizona win the national championship? Now you got Torey Lovello's crew. Instead of 70-1, you've got them at 197-1. Just saying, Dave, you can take a full unit and you can chop it into quarters, and you're going to get at least one of those tickets live by the time we get to Tuesday morning.
Okay, I love where your head's at with this. Now, here's what I would push back. If I don't believe that the Diamondbacks, out of those four teams in Major League Baseball, I don't think they can win the World Series. The other three, I think, are plausible. Ironically, the tickets I'd like the most would be the Cubs and the Illini, and the Red Sox and UConn at their price points, 99 and 109-1. Let's just say I played those two. You're going to get a guaranteed loser coming out, obviously, because you can only have one of these two teams advance. And then you got to just root against Michigan, Arizona in the championship game. I mean, it doesn't guarantee you a spot. Do we think the Tigers can really win it? Can the Tigers really win it? Because what I'm getting at, I think there's value in either the Illinois or UConn side to come out of this thing and possibly win on Monday night. And then I'm sitting with a ticket at 100-1 or over 100-1. Oh, Jensen, I love those price points there. Could I eliminate the first and fourth and just play 2 and 3 and know I got a shot Monday night and a long shot?
Well, you're only a handful of years removed from the Diamondbacks being under 500 in 2023 and in September, and they make the run that no one saw coming to get to the World Series. So if anything, these would just be great monetization spots to get one of those clubs to the World Series. And then, boy, you have an outstanding, exceptional ROI to pay out for a hedge.